Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today I have a card showcasing the Hollow Letters stamp set, but I've also incorporated the brand new Tiny Ninjas stamps as well. I thought it would be fun to create a customized birthday greeting card. I love these ninjas because I think it's so hard sometimes to find stamps and images that are perfect for boys, and these ninjas definitely are. They work for boys or girls, men or women, but I just especially love them for boy cards. And I'm always needing boy cards because my youngest is still at the age where there's lots of birthday parties and things, and so I'm always needing good boy cards. I die cut my panel from this balloon panel rather, from some watercolor cardstock using a die from the Rainbow High die collection. I love this because it's 4¼ inch wide, so it's going to completely span at the very top, the top of a top fold A2 sized card. Next, I am laying out some greetings. I'm going to use a greeting that says happy birthday from the Girlfriends stamp set, but above that I am going to customize my greeting using the brand new Hollow Letters alphabet stamps. And I'm kind of just laying them out. They're sticking to my fingers a little bit, but I want to lay them out so that it spells kick up some fun. I thought that would be kind of a great greeting for these little ninjas. Alphabet stamps are so wonderful because you can customize them to say whatever you want. So I'm simply going to lay them out, and I purposely did not try to line them up perfectly because I thought I might go crazy if I tried to do that. If I was taking maybe a little more time, or it was a design where I felt like it needed to be lined up, you definitely can do that. And I probably would only stamp these one at a time so I could stamp them a little closer together. For this, I really wanted them to fill that balloon shape, so this worked for my card. I am using the Misty, so I can pick all of those up at once, including the little phrase happy birthday, ink them up with some black ink, and then stamp that. And I'm going to stamp it a couple times so I get a really nice dark outline. I chose to use watercolor paper because I'm going to watercolor my letters in the background, but you could definitely do traditional, or not traditional, but some smooth white cardstock or any color cardstock that you want, and use any color medium that you wanted to. This actually I thought maybe was a little more time consuming than I originally thought it might be. But I do like how it turned out. And the alternative was maybe having to color around everything with either zigs or Copic markers, depending on what paper medium I used, and that didn't sound very fun to me. I thought it'd be more fun to use some water and some watercolor ink or watercolors to color in that background, because I didn't want to keep the balloon this watercolor paper color. I just really didn't like that. I did choose to do my letters all in rainbow color because I thought that would be really fun, bold, bright, perfect for a birthday card. I'm just going around and coloring each of these in. I am using rather opaque watercolors because I wanted those letters to be nice and bold. Sometimes Distress inks get too watered down or something, and so I didn't use those for the letters, but I will use watercolor ink for my background, which I'm going to use peacock feathers. One thing I would advise is make sure your letters are dry before you go and do the background, or vice versa, whichever one you want to do first. And so I did hit this with a heat tool so that the letters were nice and dry. Then I'm just going to lay down my color, go around everything. I had to work around this a few times to get that water the way I wanted it to look, so that there weren't too many, definite water lines. There was a little bleeding into some of my letters. I tried to go back once this was dry. I did hit this with a heat gun again, and I did try to cover up some of that, but it's watercolors. It's kind of just organic and it looks fine however you do it. I ended up really liking how it turned out. There were a couple points during this process where I wasn't sure that I had done the right thing, but ended up I really liked this. The greeting definitely took the longest out of anything on this card, but even at that it didn't take very long. I started to color in my background with peacock feathers and quickly realized I did not want to be using that. So instead of grabbing another sheet of paper, I simply covered it up with black soot distress ink. This is watercolor paper again because I really wanted some great reaction with water. I'm going to use my distress sprayer to spritz water all over this, blot it completely dry. It's going to give me some great kind of distress detail here to work with. I wanted it to kind of look like a night sky, like my ninjas are going to be sneaking in over the cityscape, over this black night sky with their happy birthday balloon. I'm going to take some black soot, picket fence, and brushed pewter distress paints, placing them on an acrylic block to use as my palette. And I'm going to spritz them with a little bit of water from a distress sprayer. And then I'm going to pick up the paint with a tiny paintbrush and flick it all over my background. This is just going to add to the distressing, kind of add some interest. That's the picket fence. I'm going to kind of clean out my brush. I picked up the brushed pewter, which is going to, in real life, add some nice silver shimmer to the background. Then finally, I'm going to grab my black soot and add some nice dark black splatters of paint all over. And then I want to set my background aside to completely dry. When I'm working with this particular technique, I really prefer to let it air dry, and it doesn't take that long. I went ahead and stamped 2 of my Tiny Ninjas from the Tiny Ninjas stamp set. While I'm waiting, I'm using, again, the Misty so I can stamp my ninjas one on top of another. I did it 3 times so that, especially with an image that has so much solid surface, I get really good coverage. Then I'm going to color in just small areas with Copic markers. There is not a lot of Copic coloring here, just enough to add some skin tone and a little color to their belts. But other than that, that is it. Not a ton of coloring. And you don't really need a lot with these images. I did a red and a yellow, again, kind of just pulling from the colors that I used in the greeting. I wanted a little pop of color on both of them. And then I'm going to use the coordinating dies. I've also die cut a cityscape from black cardstock, but I want some of the windows to look like they're lit up. And to make this easy, I'm just tracing the cityscape on a yellow piece or scrap of cardstock. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut it out, which I didn't cut it out that nicely. It just needs to be somewhat smaller than my cityscape, and it looks like the windows are lit up then. That was the easiest way I could see to do this, and it worked out great. I missed a little window, so I'm going to have to piece in just a teeny tiny little scrap. I am going to go ahead and adhere that along the bottom of my background now and trim off the excess. I like to flip it over and trim that off. I love that cityscape die. It has gotten so much use for me over the years. One of my favorites from Mama Elephant. I am going to tie a little string. You could use embroidery floss or something like that around the end of my balloon. I'm also going to add some foam adhesive so I can pop that up on my background. I'll be popping it and my ninjas up, pull off all that backing paper, and then I'm going to adhere that right to the top of my panel. And you can see it spans that whole 4 1/4 inch wide panel, which I love. I'm going to use some foam adhesive on the back of my ninjas now. Kind of try to lay those out where that string will hit their hands so it looks like they're holding on to it flying above the sky. I'm going to use some glossy accents, since it dries nice and clear, to just attach that string to their hands. Do that for my second ninja as well. I think they're so cute. Go ahead and add some Ranger Multi-Medium to the background of my card, and I'm going to finish that night sky with some stars. This is the Pretty Pink Posh Silver mini star confetti. I love the star and heart confetti from Pretty Pink Posh. Always, to me, perfect touch for almost any card. I especially love it here where I want my sky to have some little stars in it. Gonna go ahead and fill that in. I'm using the quick stick tool to pick those up a little bit and place those tiny confetti pieces exactly where I want them. I'll finish with some black glaze pen for the eyes and attach this to my card panel, and I am all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this birthday themed card showcasing the Mama Elephant Hollow Letters and Tiny Ninjas stamp sets. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards showcasing the Tiny Ninjas stamps and dies you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.